I think you alluded to it. You had a really bad experience at the bedside and you saw a need there and you turned that need into a business. Can you kind of tell us about that for nurses that might be wondering what they can do to like identify a need and turn that into a business?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very difficult to tell you how I got to my business while really telling my story. So in 2018, I had my first pregnancy loss, and that doctor said everything will go fine. This is part of your pregnancy journey. It happens. You're going to have a baby. And I believed him because, like I said, I didn't have a maternal health background. I got pregnant in 2020 and I found out I had twins. And I started bleeding. So I went to the ER. They told me to follow up with the OB. And I was in that office 2 or 3 times a week. It was just so bad. I had bleeding, pain. It was just horrible. They kept reassuring me that everything was okay, despite of my symptoms. I ended up losing that baby at 13 weeks. I was still hopeful. I had another baby still, and my symptoms resolved, and I was feeling great enough to allow my friends to plan my gender reveal. They did so, and on the day of my gender reveal, I went to the bathroom, and the baby fell out. So I was devastated, and that was the turning point for me where I was thinking, that doctor, he didn't know what he was talking about. Like this, I have a problem, and I don't know what it is. So I went to the ER, went to the OB, and she diagnosed me with cervical insufficiency, which is my cervix is too weak to hold a baby on its own, and I need a suture around it to keep the cervix closed so I can carry the baby full term. That has to happen at 13 weeks. I had multiple miscarriages after that. And then 2021, April, I finally got pregnant again, saw a reproductive endocrinologist and a reproductive geneticist to make sure there was no genetic issues causing these miscarriages, which there were. And the reproductive endocrinologist prescribed me a hormone to keep me pregnant because I also was having early losses. So I can make it to the 13 weeks to get the procedure. I made it to the 13 weeks, got the procedure. She said, come back at 20 weeks. 7 weeks is a long time for somebody who had like 5 or 6 miscarriages. But I begged her to allow me to come in between that time. She said no, and I believed her. She said, you will for sure know if it fails, if your cerclage fails. It will be painful. There will be bleeding. So for 7 weeks, there was no pain or bleeding. And I went into that OB's office excited, into the maternal fetal specialist office excited. And she came in and said, your cerclage failed. You can go and give birth, very nonchalantly. And I asked her, I was like, we can't do anything, do another surgery, put another cerclage in. We need to do some research, something. She's like, no, you can give birth, very nonchalantly. I said, I'm going to fight for this pregnancy. I'm 20 weeks. It's the longest I've been pregnant. So my whole village called all the doctors in the United States, literally that could possibly do another cerclage on top of it. And we found Dr. Fogwell in Dallas. He asked me to fly there, and he said, we'll get it done. He had previously saved a 20-week pregnancy with twins who had the same issue. That 3-hour surgery turned into 8 hours, but I woke up surrounded by healthcare professionals cheering me on, saying we're still pregnant. It worked. But then anesthesia wore off, and I went into labor for 30 hours. And then my water broke. And I had to go back to the OR, take both of the cerclages out, and I held my baby as he passed. That was definitely the lowest point, but he promised to bring me back out outside of pregnancy and redo the cerclage. And that November, true to his word, he did redo the cerclage. In May of the next year, 2022, after multiple early miscarriages again, I found I was pregnant, went to the reproductive endocrinologist, graduated to the maternal fetal specialist, made it to the 3rd trimester, and on December 30th, 2022, I finally had my baby. So all of that is the reason that I started Light After 9, because after 9 losses, I finally got my light.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your story. I can't begin to imagine how hard that is to relive those words and that trauma. And, thank you so much. And thank you for doing the work that you're doing for everyone everywhere so that they know that they're not alone and they have the resources and they know how to begin to navigate that story. And I just want to point out that how complicated the
Yes.
journey to motherhood can be. You turn one
Yes.
corner and you think you're on the upswing and you're just declining again and you turn another corner and there's more surprises, which is what I've heard from other people too. So it just goes to show you again how incredibly valuable your resources are and why people need these grants, they need these workshops, they need these educations, they need that community because as someone who has never experienced this, I can only hear another person's story and sympathize
Yeah.
with them and to a certain degree empathize, but I can't get it on that deep level. So it really shows how important it is that someone who has experienced this created a business and is running this business. So thank you so much for sharing your story and for coming on and letting other people know that they can make a beautiful thing out of such a traumatic experience. So thank you so much for that. So, for someone that wants to make a difference as impactful as yours, and they see a need around them and they want to help people in the way that you're helping people, but they're just not quite sure where to start. Do you have any of the first few steps? How did you get started? Do you have any of those tips that you can share the people listening today?
Yeah, for people who are not trying to start a business, start at home. If you have someone who you are trying to go through that process with, take care of them. This you would love to think that when you start the conception process, it'll just be smooth sailing. You just do not know. Do your research. Make sure you have that education in your mind just in case something happens as much as possible because pregnancy is not as cookie cutter as we would like to think. And then nurses, if you're trying to become an entrepreneur and move into that space from the bedside, I know it can seem intimidating. I know. And I know the burnout is real, especially after COVID. It's just we were tired. I'm still tired from COVID. But to be honest, but I just want to say to just go and do it. Honestly, it's just that simple. You will make mistakes along the way. It's going to happen. Pinky Cole has the owner of Slutty Vegan. She has this book called "I Hope You Fail," and she beautifully says, and it gives example of so many ways that she failed and how she learned from it. Don't be afraid of that process. Go into entrepreneurship. That idea, that intuition that you have, it's there for a reason. Really do it. You know, there are a lot of resources out here for starting a business, and so many coaches who are just really, really great at coaching you through this process. Reach out to those people. They're knowledgeable. They're there for a reason. But whatever you do, start that business.
I couldn't agree more. I was really overwhelmed when I started my business. Like I just felt like
Mm-hmm.
my world was spinning all the time. Like, how do I do a
Yes.
website? How do I even talk to people? Like, how do I hone in on what I'm doing? And then what really helped for me was focusing on one thing on that one day and just checking off that list one by one. I like how
Yeah.
you mentioned the failures. I'll say that my failures, even when I stumbled and made a failure, I didn't stumble all the way to like my
Yeah.
ground zero building blocks. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
still made progress. So if you're scared of
Right.
failure, one, there are beautiful lessons that you can learn in everything. And two, it's not like you're falling all the way down to the bottom of the hill. Like you're still in a really good spot. And it's like an invigorating type of thing where you're learning as you go. So failure isn't always like the worst thing. Like you said, that book, I Hope You Fail, sounds like a really
Yeah.
good resource and like it can speak to that. So thank you for that too. Um,
Yeah, you need to expect failure, honestly. Just really expect and embrace yourself for failure. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it right, to be honest. That means you're not learning and find a beauty in that, truly. Your biggest failure is if you don't try to do it. And that should that should be where your bar is set. If I didn't do it, I would be a miserable failure at this point.
Oh my gosh. Yes. If I didn't have my business, I would be so sad. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what I would be doing. I would be so burnt out. I would probably have no friends. Like, because I've made so many friends on this journey too, so many beautiful like
Yes, so many.
experiences. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't even want to think about that. What's your best advice for someone listening that wants to do something similar in their business? So maybe they want to provide like advocacy in like a different space or they want in to get into like researching grant things or they just want to do like workshops that really like heal the soul. Do you have any tips for people that are thinking about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2024, you definitely have to build that platform, right? You know, You can't do a lot of things with just 10 followers. You have to build your platform, build your credibility. So be an expert if you can, or definitely a student of the trade. Do your research, talk to people, network. I mean, that's literally my favorite part of entrepreneurship is, like you said, all the amazing people that you meet. They have connected me with other people. They have like I've had so many connections who like, oh, you need to talk to this person. That person's like, you need to talk to this person. Y'all need to meet, be a part of this organization. And then I do it. And then I follow up and it works out. And then you also have to really truly believe in yourself. It is, that deep too, to have that true belief that what you're doing matters and just keep that along the way. But also building your platform, going on podcasts, getting in the media, writing, your articles about your business and yourself, following people on LinkedIn and following up with them, asking for advice, partnering. Another thing I love is partnering with other maternal health or whatever your specialty is. Partnering with like-minded organizations is amazing. You meet so many people that way, and they're lifting you up, especially if they're already there, like March of Dimes, Samaz, PSI. They're already there and have that widespread. So when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, we got you. We'll put you on here, here, here. You need to be in this space. And then I get in these spaces, and then I'm able to help others. So it just works like that.
Yeah, I think the overarching thing that I'm hearing is networking and saying yes
Yeah.
and putting yourself out there, which I don't think I understood until it was happening to me either.
Yeah.
Like just saying like, "Hi, I'm Janelle. How's your day going? Like, how
Yeah.
are you? What's up with you? What do you like to do?" And then people would connect me with other people and just open a door that I didn't even know existed. I feel like it was like a secret trap door or like a wall that you knocked 3 times and suddenly it appeared and there's all these people like in a speakeasy chatting and they're super successful. They're like, "Come on in, let's hang out." And I'm like, this wasn't here before until I like did the
Right.
secret code to knock. Um, so yeah,
Now that was
definitely.
that's a
Yeah, no, it's wild. Definitely networking. Definitely coming on podcasts. I'm also always going on podcasts and meeting other people too. Getting your name out there. Like you said, the collaboration. I'm doing a lot of that as well. How can I help you? One of the things I always like end like an email with or any sort of interaction, I'm always like, let me know how I can help you. Let me know how I support you. I'm a huge proponent of nurses, healthcare workers, but just people in general. If there's something that like I can do for you, let me know. And then not even meaning to like have this happen, people have messaged me randomly out of nowhere because I've made like a post like let me know how I can help. And they've been like, I saw that post, let me help you. And I was like, oh, I was not even expecting this. So, like, what you give into the universe is like also what you get. So if you like foster that collaboration, like it's going to definitely come your way through one route or the other. So absolutely networking is a huge thing. Even if you're unsure of what you're doing, just like you mentioned, talking to those titans in your industry that you might want to like maybe go into can give you a ton of ideas on what they're doing and where you can go. So yeah, those are all amazing tips. Thank you so much for that.